So relationships are a really big area of many people's lives. There's so many people who are in one and that maybe don't want to be in that relationship, or are looking for an alternate relationship. And there's so many people who are not in a relationship who truly believe that they will be happier when they find their perfect match, or their star-crossed lover, or their um, twin flame, maybe. Um, that's an interesting reality underlying the idea of relationships, because relationships are an idea. We as humans are constantly creating labels, ideas, concepts that we then impose on each other. And if we get together as a group, we decide that they are right, wrong, good, bad. And relationships are no different. Relationships, you've been taught that humans need relationships. You believe that an overview and a subjective opinion on the way humans behave, or a tainted view, maybe you've got a religious view, so you see relationships as marriage and partnering up to have children. You believe that a relationship is absolutely necessary as part of your life, and maybe as part of a happy life. But as we dig into that, what you tend to find is that there is actually no basis other than ideas for you to have a relationship, or that a relationship will in fact make you happy. With a divorce rate that exceeds 50%, it seems pretty clear that relationships are not making over 50% of the people who have them and get married happy. So why is that, if relationships are the be all and end all? In order to understand relationships well, you've got to realize that you have been conditioned, either accidentally or purposefully maybe, into believing that you will get together with somebody and you will live happily ever after, and that maybe you'll get married and maybe you'll stay together forever. And that's because, first of all, you taught it in religion, but then you are taught it by society itself and by films and TV. You're taught that people have to find their perfect partner, and that they're happy and they live happily ever after. In fact, every romantic novel or story of the get together and live happily ever after has taught you that you are looking for the person who will make you happy. You are looking for the companion that you can be with for the rest of your life, and that companion is going to complete you in some which way and make you happier than you are already. So you've bought into the idea, not surprisingly, because you have had that idea forced onto you by almost every film, every situational event. You've been to weddings, you've read the books, and you were actually taught about it in school, and you were taught about it as a basis and fabric of society through your religious teachings. But is it real? Does it actually matter whether you have a relationship, and does it have any bearing on whether you are happy or not? And the answer is not, because you can be happy, and some would say it's a really nice, beautiful goal to be happy no matter what is happening outside of you. So a relationship is you becoming dependent on another person who is outside of you, and for your happiness or for your peace, and hoping to live together with that person forever. And not only that, setting many, many expectations of them and them of you, for the behaviours and the activities and the shared experiences that you are going to have endlessly after getting together. It's a tying together of people who are supposed to be interested in the same things, do the same things together, behave in ways that each other accepts and feels comfortable with for the rest of their lives. So it's no small decision to get together with somebody and get into a relationship when you have all these expectations of them and they have all these expectations of you. But your happiness is actually a choice that you are making constantly. You can decide you need a relationship just to be happy, or you can decide that you'll be happy with or without a relationship. And that choice is nothing to do with natural selection or the natural way of things. It is to do with you and your choices of how you see the world around you. If you think you're dependent on a relationship, you may also think you're dependent on money. You may also think you're dependent on things like cars, houses. You may think you're dependent on the job you've got in order to be happy. You might think you're dependent on having children in order to be happy, or maybe that comes after the relationship. I don't know. But if you are dependent on things outside of you for your happiness, what you'll tend to find is that you endlessly find new things that you need, because each one that you try doesn't bring the permanent happiness that you were hoping for it to bring. And relationships are no different. You know, you buy the car, it loses its shine and becomes just a car just after you get it. It can happen very similarly with relationships. So relationships are not a dependency that you've got for being happy. Although if you create the idea that you will never be happy unless you have a relationship, then you'll never be happy unless you have a relationship. You've been conditioned to believe that that's true. And at this moment, you've been conditioned to believe that many other ideas are true as well. Whether it be money, whether it be cars, whether it be houses, whether it be jobs, whether it be that you need to travel in order to be happy, whether it be that you need to have your children. You've been conditioned to believe that you need all of those things, which, by the way, are outside of you, in order to experience happiness. When actually happiness is a choice that you can make in any given moment. You can be happy right now, and you can realize that you are chasing your ideas or metaphors for that happiness, and that while you're chasing them, you're not experiencing the happiness you're chasing. Because why would you chase anything if you were already experiencing the happiness? Ironically, the choice to experience happiness, peace, and freedom right now is only the dropping of ideas away. So as you drop the ideas you're chasing, and that could be the relationships, the money, the careers, it can be many different things that you're chasing, but it could be the relationship too. If you drop the idea of needing a relationship in order to be happy, then you are independent of relationships in order to be happy. And being independent of any idea that's outside of you in order to be happy puts you in a seat of strength, you in a seat of power, and you in a place where the world outside can't touch you. Because invariably, when you find that relationship, when you find that partner that's going to make you happy for the rest of your life, what you're going to find is that they don't behave within your expectations all the time, or you don't behave within theirs. And that experience of being tied together in a expectation driven pairing is likely to become frictious, it's likely to become difficult, it's likely to become fraught with conflict. It's also likely to be very limiting in terms of your wanted behaviors. The things you want to experience in your life may not be possible because you've got a partner who expects you to do certain things, be a certain thing, and live a certain way, when in actual fact you would naturally flow towards behaving and being something very different. So you trade off freedom and happiness and limitation potentially as soon as you are within an expectation driven environment. And that environment is naturally occurring within a pairing of a relationship. So the question of, will a relationship bring you happiness? Well, usually the expectation is, while you're not in the relationship, you think it will bring you happiness. Once you get into the relationship, it's also very common to feel that being out of the relationship or within another relationship will make you happier. And that's because the expectation frameworks that you're applying to each other are unrealistically tying and limiting for both of you. So expectation drives relationships and compromise drives relationships, and both of those things are very limiting and very they can be a pressure cooker. But that said, if you get yourself into a situation where you are not dependent on another person's behavior for your happiness, you're not dependent on them being in your space for your happiness, you're not dependent on having this lifelong partnership for your happiness, and you're not dependent on the things outside of you for your happiness, then almost every relationship you have with everybody is a relationship that is easy to manage, it is not conflicting, and it's not full of resistance. So there might be a pairing with somebody who has lost their ideas and expectations of the world around them and the people around them that is harmonious. So it's not us saying, well, there's no relationship that can make you happy, or that you'll be happy within, more likely, but it would be a really good start to create a relationship with the world where you are happy no matter what the world does and what the people do and what the situations are and what things you have. So once you've lost your ideas of those things, then and then found your freedom, happiness and peace, then what you'll tend to find is that it's very easy to be around many different people and have beautiful relationships with many people without the need to add a person permanently or pair up with them to make you happy for the long term. It doesn't mean you won't, but it's not something that you need, and it's certainly not a natural pairing that needs to happen in order to tick the box of you being happy for the rest of your life, because the evidence doesn't suggest that that's what will happen.